NASA and Google partner up again to unveil a quantum computing leap. This is how the black goo is powering the computers. In an experiment, a quantum computer outperformed a conventional machine by 100 million times. The box is a DWAVE quantum computer. We see that's the size of a garden shed. Relies on fundamentally different principles than today's computers. DWAVE computer came up with an answer 100 million times faster than a conventional computer with a single core. The head of product engineering, Mr. Hartmut Nevin at Google, says a DWAVE does in a second what a computer with a single core does in 10,000 years. Imagine how much control they will have with these types of machines.
Hey, what up? It's Phil James. Upside down American flag and all. How you guys doing? Hopefully pretty good. So, I didn't say everything in the video you're about to see that I needed to say for the beginner with the quantum computers. So, I want to go ahead and throw this little segment in right before just to clear up any questions that anybody might have if they've never really looked into quantum computing. So, first and foremost, a traditional computer that you use Facebook on, or you're watching this video on, uses something called transistors and, single core processors and, all that computer lingo. D-Wave quantum computers, on the other hand, use something called qubits. Now, qubits are strange. Your regular traditional computers uses binary code. As you know, qubits use binary code, except they can be a 0, a 1, or both at the same time, or neither, because it's in the quantum realm. So qubits act very mysterious, just like electrons and protons and neutrons. When we watch them and don't watch them, they all act very strange, right? It's very mysterious. That's why it's the quantum realm. Now, speaking of the quantum realm, real quick, there's two new terms that have been coined: quantum entanglement and quantum pollution. Quantum pollution is the extra that comes back with the answer or the solution to the problem the D-Wave is solving. So we send in 100% energy, and the scientists at D-Wave receive back 110%. Where did the 10% pollution, quantum pollution, come from? Well, in the words of Geordie Rose, the parallel dimensions, or the 10%, in other words, or the resources that are being exploited from said dimensions, parallel dimensions. Now that's insane. Now, the quantum entanglement, that is another side effect that wasn't exactly intended, I don't think, but is now happening. That's when those parallel dimensions seem to start stacking, seem to start pancaking onto one another. Now, another term that's coined with that quantum entanglement is Mandela effect.
So D-Wave builds quantum computers. The way that they work, if you know how this works, is one of the interpretations is that you tap into these parallel universes and they do computations. Sounds really weird, but notice what's happened is this idea has been hijacked to describe something called the Mandela effect, which is this thing where the past changes. So think about something you know to be true from the past. And then imagine you went out on the internet and you can't find it at all. It's not there. It doesn't match with your experience. So these people think that D-Wave is responsible, and CERN. And of course the quantum key to the abyss factors into it somehow. I'm not exactly sure how. Okay, so that's just D-Wave. I did that for about 15 years.
Now there's numerous side effects with that. Mandela effect is a very real thing in my opinion. I do believe in the Mandela effect. Only certain instances, because some are a little out there, but at the same time, it's like, wow, this is pretty gnarly because there's quantum entanglement going on. That means the realms are meshing and mixing when they should not be. They're You know, it's nowhere and everywhere all at once, but they're starting to sink into one another, starting to drip feed into one another. You see what I mean? So that's what I wanted to make sure you guys got about the quantum realm and how mysterious it is, and that those new terms are being used. So, all right, and now quantum mechanics and quantum physics is also very, very complex and strange. So anyways, let's carry on with the computing. So now that you have an idea what a qubit is, the more qubits these computers have, the more, I'm putting this in quotes because this is how I understand it, the more qubits a quantum computer has, the more parallel dimensions it can exploit resources from or solve problems with the help of. You know what I mean? They're super chilled, and like RFB has said in the past, what's the very common thing that happens in ghost sightings or experiences? You get super hardcore chills, right? Gets real cold. Now, DWAVE quantum computers in that big garden shed sized black cube that it's inside of, it circulates liquid nitrogen around and super chills the quantum processor. Now, when I say super chills it, I mean super chills it, because from what they claim, it drops this processor down to just above absolute 0 Kelvin. Now, from what they claim, that's colder than the deepest, darkest voids of space. So they make it that cold. Strange. And it's in that black cube. You know what I mean? The qubits are very strange. Now, also with quantum computers, they're very good at solving very complex problems, like routing and like what's the most efficient way of doing something. Stuff that would take traditional computers years and years and years to achieve would take a quantum computer merely seconds. Okay, so yes, they are very powerful and they can help a lot in the medicine field, maybe, or the health field, you know, but at the same time, it's gonna cause the singularity, or it's going to control the straight up abyss portal doorway that CERN is going to open and then probably stabilize with DWAVE. Probably, possibly use DWAVE with ITER. I know DWAVE, Google has a DWAVE, NASA has a DWAVE, Lockheed Martin has a DWAVE, Facebook has a DWAVE, I'm sure, you know, all those big time, NSA has one, you know, like all those types of agencies and third-party people and businesses and companies, the evil ones, have D-Waves. Now, so now that you have an idea, one more little thing about D-Wave. D-Wave, when this came out, they were capable of starting something called the SWS, otherwise known as the Sentient World Simulation. Now, if you've watched RFB or Anthony Patch, you know what that is. It's literally a simulation in real time of us. There's a node avatar for each and every one of us in the world right now living in that SWS or Sentient World Simulation. So, wow, right? So they know the outcomes of damn near everything they're going to do before we even know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, they can run these simulations repeatedly. So it's pretty unbelievable. But Phil James, hope you enjoyed the video, y'all. Peace. Peace! What up? Phil James coming back at you yet again with another video. Today is Wednesday, May 2nd, the day after May Day, the day after the spring equinox, the day after Beltane. Anything crazy happened yesterday in your area? Let me know. We had some wicked looking geoengineering and chemtrails over here in my area, here in central OHIO. So, you know, nothing really too new here, but So anyways, I want to put together a little video clips here on quantum computers because I haven't seen anybody cover this yet. And come to find out, apparently, there's a new type of qubit that has been developed for quantum computers. Well, if you think about what quantum computers are capable of doing already, and then you look at the advances they make in these quantum computing or quantum computers, for instance, the error margin, the amount of qubits keeps increasing while the amount of error margins shrinking. You see what I mean? So the accuracy is becoming more of like pinpoint accuracy. The precision and the quickness is still crisp and snappy as could be. And these computers are super cooled to what they claim is colder than the voids of space. This processor, it hangs in a black cube, which we all know the cube symbolism, and we all know the black cube and how common it is nowadays. So it's a big black cube, and it says DWAVE real big on the side, super cooled with like liquid nitrogen and so on and so forth. So there's something called quantum entanglement, and there's something called quantum pollution. Now, this isn't going to be a quote because I'm going to paraphrase here, but Geordie Rose talks about the quantum pollution that seems to be taking place because they invest 100% of a material or energy into this quantum computing system, and then they get back 110% material or energy. So where is the 10% coming from every time they use it? Well, in the words of Geordie Rose, once again I am paraphrasing, that's the pollution from another dimension, essentially, because in Geordie Rose's words, not mine, Geordie Rose's, he does even say that they are exploiting resources from parallel dimensions. So this is like string theory and some sort of heist movie all mixed into one, in my opinion. You see what I mean? Like, it's nuts. So we invest this and, we get back this extra bit of energy or whatever. And, it's kind of strange because your human mind can't really comprehend the depth of what that means, essentially. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you gotta think. You're getting back 10% energy from something that's everywhere and nowhere. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm hoping this is making sense. We haven't even gone through the article at all, and we're at 4 minutes. Scientists from the National University of Science and Technology, MISIS, and Russian Quantum Center have recently created a new qubit based on using a solid superconducting nanowire rather than the traditional Josephson junctions, which are usually obtained by introducing a barrier between two superconductors. So it's just really strange to me, though, because now, we're looking at this. So there's all these new, it's in this article they tell you how easy it is to produce qubits, and how it'll help us in the near future because we'll have new types of qubits to perform the logistic type problems and all the absolute insane problems that they want to solve. Sorry, driving here at work, but yeah, it's absolute madness, These people plan on having so much control over everything, and we'll really have nothing to say and nothing to really do about the matter, you know what I mean? Hold on 1 second. So yeah, the whole quantum computing thing within itself is pretty insane Because right out of the mouth of the big guy, the Tony Stark at D-Wave, you know, Jordy Rose, right out of his mouth, he talks about summoning the old ones, which will look at us the same way that we look at ants. They're so strong, so smart, and so powerful that they just don't give a shit about you or me. And that is not paraphrasing. That's right out of Jordy Rose's mouth. He talks about summoning basically an army of demonic entities with D-Wave and things like so.
Comprehend. So this, of course, triggers a lot of alarm. One of the guys who talks about this is Elon, who says things like this, like, when you do this, beware. Because you think, just like the guy in the stories, that when you do this, you're going to put that little guy in a pentagram, and you're going to have your holy water out, and you're going to wave it at the thing, and by God, it's going to do exactly what you say and not one thing more, but it never works out that way. So this is an attitude that some are having, this emerging alarmism about the way this is going to go. But these words, demons, doesn't capture the essence of what's happening here. I don't know if any of you are turn-of-the-century weird fiction fans, but there's this guy named H.P. Lovecraft, who's a very famous American weird fiction author. And he espoused a view which is called cosmicism. And the essence of cosmicism is cosmic indifference. So what he was saying is basically, yes, there are these massively intelligent entities out there, but they're not good, they're not evil. They just don't give a shit about you even in the slightest. The same way that you don't care about an ant is the same way they're not going to care about you. And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, they're not evil. Same way that you don't care about an ant is the same way they're not going to care about you. And these things that we're summoning
Now, look at the places that own D-Wave quantum computers or have invested or have some sort of connection. Okay, just to name a few, let me go ahead and get on it. NASA, as you heard in that first video segment, NASA and D-Wave team up. NASA and D-Wave, okay? So NASA, first good one. NASA, D-Wave, Google and D-Wave. Now we have IBM, Intel, and HP, and all those other computer companies now trying to produce their own laptop-sized quantum computers, which is possible, has already happened. But the point is, they're making, you know, almost a commercial quantum computer. Yes, they're low numbers in qubits, but at the same time, they're still quantum computers, which can, you know, connect everything and literally speed up the whole singularity or Internet of Things. So we have to stay aware. Now, like I just said, you know, all these people are pumping out the quantum computing. All these people are talking about quantum supremacy. China's trying to start a type of quantum internet, which I do have an article about, and hopefully, if I can understand it, because I'm not a quantum computing or physicist or expert in this field, I just wanted to go ahead and report on this to let everybody out there know that this is occurring. So, other places, you know, Lockheed Martin has a quantum computer, you know, places like that. We gotta, you know, why do those places need them? Why do they have them? Google, NASA, DeepMind, you know, a part of Google, you know, and then just so many more. CERN obviously has one. You know, I'm sure ITER has one, which we hear nobody talk about ever. But despite the fact that universal quantum computers have not been created yet, the principle of calculation which it can be based on allows researchers to solve highly complex problems. For example, some laboratories are using qubits for modeling chemical compounds and materials and recreating the mechanisms of the photosynthesis process. This is why it is so important to perfect the key elements, of quantum computers, such as the main computational cells, qubits. as soon as possible. There are several approaches to creating qubits. For example, researchers created qubits operating in an optical range, but they are much harder to scale up, unlike superconducting qubits, which operate in the radio frequency spectrum. Damn it. Sorry, y'all. All right. And are based on so-called Josephson junctions. These junctions are formed by introducing a barrier between two superconductors, a section of dielectric which serves as a tunnel for the flowing electrons. Now, this is very complex stuff, obviously, as you can tell here. So, when going through this, what I'm doing, like I said, is just to, make sure everybody understands that quantum computing is taking a very, very big step forward, regardless of what we have to say. So, we need to stay aware. And yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. So links will be in the description, as you know. Phil James, and I'm out, y'all. Come check this article out. It's a good one to read. It's pretty complex, but all right, y'all. Phil James, I'm out. Peace.